Hello everyone to a new and final part of the neon sign. So in this part we are actually going to end this small project, and we are actually going to learn about one of the more interesting and in my opinion very effective things that you can do with Blender, which is light manipulation, and actually more like light animation. Because yes, we will animate lights, and I will teach you how to animate lights and materials in general, because really this is kind of what this will have to do. And trust me, you might think that that's not that important, but actually animating materials is a very important part of any animator, and really anyone that wants to optimize their projects as much as possible, because there's not that much data that you have to use, and you can get cool animations for free basically, which is really cool. When I say for free, I mean the data with the not be that impacted. So also another thing you will learn today, you can actually see it. Well, you cannot see my hand if I do this, but if I do this, you will see it kind of there, like right there, right here, this particle here. We will learn how to do this with geometry nodes. That's actually a cool effect. Look at me holding the particle. I'm not holding it anymore, and now I'm holding it again. Yeah. So basically, yeah, that's what I'm doing. By the way, yeah. I don't know how people watch this, but thank you so much. Thank you for watching. And if you don't watch, just subscribe at least and give a like, and please still watch. But no, yeah. So we will also learn how to do basically this effect, this particle effect, with the geometry nodes, which I don't know how many of you know about it, but it's actually a pretty common trick to use, because it does give a really cool feel to your scene, and I think anyone should be able to use it at least. So with this being said, I want you guys to actually listen to me one more time while I'm saying the procedural tool is still free, still there, the link is still in the description, and you can actually go and grab it. So it's a procedural fence for everyone that doesn't know. You have four models, and also I think there are like 6 or 7 textures that are made by me, and at least 4 of them are custom made. So I basically texture painted over it to make them actually look pretty cool for an apocalyptic version and a basic version that you can use in basically anything you want. And I do think you can actually find a lot of usage for these, especially in game development, which is what it was kind of meant for. But also, of course, you can use it in animation, no problems. It's actually not having that much geometry to work with, so I think it makes it perfect for anyone that wants pretty compact but useful tool. With this being said, please also don't forget, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already, and if you are subscribed, or even if you're not subscribed, please leave a comment down below, tell me what else you would like to see. I still have ideas for future videos, there's no problem, but I would like you guys to actually give me a little bit of feedback. Tell me what exactly would you like to see in the future, and how would you like things to evolve. Also, please, again, if you did not subscribe yet, you can also share the video for others to subscribe. And if you are subscribed, also please share the video for others to find about this channel and subscribe, because again, the goal is 500 subscribers, and I mean, you are in top 500. Don't forget that. Whoever actually subscribes, yeah, you are kind of, that quality baby. Yeah, so with this being said, and me saying baby, which is very cringe, let's actually get to the video. This is the window, alright, so don't forget that. Actually, you can see the rain droplets like this. So actually, you see the transparency through this, even though this is the material shader. That's because we did not use the glass BSDF, and we actually did use the transparent and the translucent nodes. that Blender does know even in material mode. So having this, what we can do is actually go to Polygon, because I think Polygon did have a material droplets. At least I think it had. Yes, it had. Yes, it did have. Now, I don't know if any of them is free, but it is. Okay, water droplets. So, water droplets is such a cool material because we can basically use the window that we already have. And apparently it didn't download it yet. It failed. Hopefully now we will download it. Alright, so here's the deal. And I actually did leave it in the video as well. Well, to you, it's this video anyway. But this is actually a few days after I actually finished this. I rendered this and I edited everything. And then now, for some reason, Polygon decided the free rain droplets work again. Also, for some reason, the video where I do show you where to get another image texture for the rain droplets was gone. I either forgot to record it, either I deleted it by mistake, because otherwise I don't see what happened there. But let's not get carried away, all right? Like I'm just doing right now. What am I doing? Getting freaked out, that's what I'm doing. That's for sure what I'm doing. Well, first things first, right? We need to make sure that the rain droplets, which we do have here, but they're on the window, so we cannot really take them out yet. But we can by disabling this. So this is the image texture I used on the glass, right? So basically what you do is use an image texture of the rain droplets to basically put rain droplets-ish on the window. However, that image that I did use is not, in my opinion, the best. It was okay for what it was, but it was not the slickest, let's call it, all right? So that's where Polygon does come in, because Polygon, again, it has really some of the best materials on the market, and I do recommend you using them. So what are we going to do about it? It's actually pretty simple. Let me just go to Polygon. Now we have this, finally. So I can import the 2K droplets from Polygon. And I can just take all of these out, which will basically leave me with the window and the principal BSDF basically being here. And this is a window. By the way, to do this, you just press M, right? To mute basically the node. So what you're gonna do now is go to group, and now you have every Polygon node you used or that you imported. Now to import something without actually applying it, just select nothing. So select the void, the empty void, and just import, and that's it. And then you can go to group and get it from here. So basically we need the water droplet mixed bubbled sparkling water something. I don't know what I'm saying. I just said it. All right, and connect it to the principal BSDF. Now remember, the most important three nodes are roughness, base color, and normal. Now normal, again, it will need a normal map to actually read the information, and that's cool with me. And what else? Also, we probably will need texture coordinate. Right here. Of course, I pressed the wrong stuff. Okay, right here. And use the UV to actually put it in. And we can actually see it, at least from this side. We can see the rain droplets, and they look much better than they used to. And actually, let me also look at it from... I guess I used the other camera. So let's actually select this camera, Ctrl 0 to look at it from this perspective. And let's actually go into render view to actually, check out our window, because that's really what we need, right? We need to see it like this. And also with the rain droplets that we do have, right? Because we need to basically have everything here before we, get to the part where we take everything out. Also, you can take the height and connect it to a displacement node. And this set displacement node can actually get into the displacement here. That will help also. And displacement strength, set it to 1. And you'll see this, right? Which is horrible, really, but it's not that bad. And the reason it's not that bad, it's because the scale is too much. So actually get the scale down. Actually even more than this. So 0.01 maybe. And it's still a lot, right? So you can just play with the scale afterwards. Make it sound like this, maybe. I mean, it definitely looks much better than it did before. It looks absolutely brilliant now. And, maybe we can leave it like a 7.5 or something. Try to make the rain droplets that we have and the rain droplets from the texture actually be, well, you can make them be perfectly together, but, try to make them as close of a scale as possible. So maybe a 5, maybe a 6. So 6, 5.5, somewhere around there probably should work. And now, in my opinion, we should also probably use maybe the factorial. No. Let me see. I would like to, actually not have these many rain droplets. Like, yes, they're cool. Yes, it's okay. But at the end of the day, we need to keep in mind the fact that we also need to kind of see the window, right? So right now we see this, which looks cool and all, but, all that we have in the room would actually look pretty pointless. So just for reference, let me see if I can actually bring it up. I think I do have it here. Yeah. So this is the way I could see through before versus now, which basically you don't really see a lot, right? Which is, kind of a shame because the background looks pretty good as well. Okay, so now it actually looks pretty good. So I just reduced the scale a little bit to 2. And even though, our geometry nodes basically is not on the same scale as the rain droplets, it actually looks pretty good because it actually gives a little more variation to the rain, which is actually a good thing. And it actually looks pretty cool. So with this being done now, we do have the rain as well, which is cool. So that's how you put a material of a rain droplet over a body, any kind of surface, right? Which is cool. So you can do it from, 2 directions. You can do geometry nodes, which gives you a little more control over afterwards, but then you can also use images to actually put over your surface. So yeah, that's the second way to do it, right? All right, so having this, we should actually move on. Okay, so basically this is the result we have so far. Now what else we have to do is actually we'll go back into material mode and actually work a little more on the neon sign. I'll probably try to find another droplet texture because this is not a good one. I found one on the internet, but actually it was not that great. But for now, let's actually work on the neon sign. So we will first need a gradient texture. And also, the mapping and texture coordinate, and a color ramp, of course. Let me actually get that. Right here. Okay, perfect. So with Control Shift left click, let's actually see what we have. And actually, let's get Y to 90 and get these two. It's like a more contrasty area until you actually are okay with the position of you know, of our let's say painted tubes. So you can do something like this with just a very little fall off. You can also go constant on this one. So actually, you know, the colors are constant. And what you have to do with this, you actually change the white color to whatever kind of color you want. And you go with this to the emission color. And now that we will actually look at it with the base color also on black. Because look, if you don't have this and you have the value to 1, this will actually not properly work. You can also leave it like this, of course, but I would advise you to actually get this like this. Maybe if you want to make it metallic, make it metallic. It's going to be a little more reflective. You can also, you know, get the roughness a little bit down if you want. So let's say 0.2 or something, and actually have a little more reflectiveness. And now when we will look at it, it will actually be much better because it will look pretty good. All right, good. What else we gotta do is to actually get those tubes we were talking about. So actually, let us get a cursor here and get a cylinder. Yeah, let's get a cylinder. Let's get the vertices down and let's scale it way down. I'm gonna apply the scale here. Air X, not X, Air Y 90. To actually be, you know, a little like a plug, and then just shape it whatever the way you want to, you know, make it look like an electrical plug. So let's scale this down. And again, here, you know, come to your design. It's not really that important. My personal opinion, try to make it look a little different from what you would usually see, because at least that way you will catch the viewer's eye. But again, this is also not that much of an important, you know, area, because not a lot of people actually care about this. So it's really up to you what you want to do with it. So, you know, you can have this and just have these two go out, and it will look something like this. It's very, you know, basic. It's very not great per se. It actually doesn't look that great necessarily, but I also don't think it looks that bad. It's let me actually do this, and let me actually make it a little longer. Something maybe like this. Of course, we will also elongate this one. And to make it maybe a little more interesting, select, check at the select. Let's insert its faces, and then sorry, yes, to get us in. Does this make a big difference? No, not really, honestly. But you know, it is what it is. You don't have to make it look that different. Again, I told you, it's not gonna be a very important part. So we can also get this a little bit up here, and maybe get this like safety part in. And will you see it through the window? Maybe, maybe not. Which is what I'm trying to tell you. Don't work on it too much. It's not worth it. I don't think you'll find, you know, a good use for this. Does it have any plastic mold? Let's actually put the worn one, and let's see how it looks also. Okay, we will make it black. So we will actually go into the shading tab, Let's go into material, see how this looks. And to do that, we can actually, you know what, I'm not even gonna bother too much, because this will help me just in case I want to maybe change the color later on. I don't think I will, but just in case I would want to. I'll just put this to multiply. And just set this to whatever color you feel like you should have. And also set this to 1. And then, set your color. That's basically it. You will still have, all the details and all the grunges, all the stuff, which still, I mean, looks pretty good, honestly. But, you don't have to worry about it. And now let's take these, go to material, assign these vertices to like a new material, and let's basically create a new one. Just say metal or plug metal, and I mean really just make it metallic. And usually they do have this kind of yellowish color. I'm trying to look at one right now. Yeah. Don't think about it too much. Again, you won't really see it. Let's see how this looks on our camera. Pretty good. Okay. That's okay. And the reason for it, it's because we will also have, let me, okay. Let's actually go on the backside. And let's get not a plane, sorry, but a cube. I'm pressing all the wrong buttons right now. Let's select the cube, take it, make it way smaller. And this will be like an extender, which we will see very little of. And that's kind of a point. Let's see. Z SS SZ, and try to have more or less the same height. The reason I'm not explaining this much on this one, it's because really it wouldn't matter. Again, this is not gonna be that important. It's basically just here to make this whole scene seem like, oh, they do have more detail, and it does have a little more than just a small little sign in there. There is like an actual store-ish scene. So try to recreate that is kind of what I'm trying to do. And to do that, we need to actually put a little more layers, put a little more I like to think of it like create a small story in your head, create like a very small, a setup for a little bit of a story in there, and try to kind of play it out for you. And if you dig it, if you feel like, yeah, I would see that happening, then probably other people would too. If you wouldn't, then you should think, okay, how could I make this at least a little more believable? So let's take it like this. Okay, as long as it doesn't clip through the glass, we're good with it. We're going to actually take this and subdivide this. How many times? Probably 20. And give it a polygon material. What material? Probably a wood as well. What kind of wood though? Honestly, don't really know. Maybe something like this. Maybe veneer would work. Does it work? More or less. I didn't even need the you know, subdivision for this one, but hey, I have it. Who cares? Let's also go to mix color. By the way, if you are scared by all those nodes there, I just entered by mistake into the veneer node. So yeah, that's what behind it. I'm pretty sure I did show it before. In the train. The train scene, but if you didn't see it, now probably it's a good time to see how that looks. And if it seems scary, it's because it is a little, just a little bit. All right, let's actually add a solidify modifier to this one. Where are you? Solidify modifier. There it is. Did I apply the scale? I did. So let's actually get this up here. And we'll actually need to get this all the way down because otherwise it wouldn't make sense. And we also probably wanna bevel this. Something like this. Add some geometry. Shade mode. And this also doesn't have anything. Let's also bevel this one. Make sure you apply the scale. How much? Let's say a 0.01. Apparently all of them have the same effect on it, which means that it doesn't affect it from a point on. Let's see how this looks now. Okay, it should change a little bit. So, first things first. Our table, which should be this one, which is not. Which one is it? No, this one. It's this one. Okay. We should be moving it a little bit. Actually, maybe even scale it a little bit. Yeah. This scene is very dark because, I mean, right now we don't have any light towards it. So let's actually, you know, try to add an area light. Okay, and let's actually try to get it a little bit towards nighttime. I like this because it kind of gives the vibe of like, oh, it's still like what's it called? In the city. So it's like neons from other places and stuff, which brings this. And by the way, yes, neon colors are bright and they are usually the non-natural colors. So basically pink, purple, stuff like that work perfectly with this. Let's see. That reflects. How the hell does that one reflect? Anyway, the thing is, we would want this. Maybe like this. All right. And also to add like a pretty cool effect, right? We could actually add also a simulation of rain, but will I do that? I don't think so. However, what else we can actually add is And this is the first time I'm doing this, so I hope it's actually gonna get go right. Oh, I filmed quite a bit today. So probably another big video that I will probably actually split in 2 parts, because this one is a long tutorial. Let's say if I make the cube maybe like this. Okay. If you worked with geometry nodes before, you probably know what I'm trying to do. So what I'm doing is distribute points in volume. And that disappeared. Because this is not volume anymore. And geometry to uh, so let's get a volume cube and actually get this. Okay, so let's distribute the points in volume. Okay, so in geometry nodes, we will just get a, what was it called? Volume cube? Yes. And this will actually be connected to distribute points in volume. And let's see what we get. And we get points, just like we do for all the other stuff, which is pretty cool. And we can actually do this pretty random stuff. Of course, we can. I don't know what the background does actually. Oh, outside the cube. Okay, we can increase the density even more if we want to. For now, we don't. What I do want to do though is instance on points again, and nothing will be instance, but we will have some icospheres, of course, which will be very small. And they actually look super stretched. Actually, I'm not sure what that is. Is the density? No, can be. Maybe the min max. The resolution probably. I guess is the only thing that I could think of. Ugh. My ears went numb for a second. Yeah, so actually if you make x 0.5, it actually gets them to a good point. So let's subdivide this as well. Set shade smooth and smooth them out. And it looks pretty okay. But what do we actually want to do with them? Like, why did I make this? Actually, I made them to make like a little bit of particles in the air kind of design. Alright, so I got this pretty cool effect with the particles. Right, so to get this, after we basically we're done with the geometry nodes, right? Which let me actually get here. Basically, all I added was a noise factor and a set position to basically just randomize a little bit the way. So as you can see, the way the particles are, you know, nothing too crazy really. What else you gotta do is to play around with the dust, with the depth of field. So the depth of field, I went in, and if I could actually select the camera, that would be super nice. Let me actually go into the render view. And actually, I made the sign to actually be my focal point. Also, what I did is change the f-stop. So the f-stop changes a lot, all right? The more you have, the more clear you'll see stuff. I'll say around 0.6 really is kind of the way you want to go. Also, what I did is the material for the particles, I did change it a little tiny bit, which is in shading mode. What I did is actually put a small color ramp in there to actually just, oh, let me actually make this fully white so that it gets the color that I want. And that is basically, you know, some green particles and some pink particles because of the colors that I actually use, you know, for the lights. So really the lights, in my opinion, were the one that had to affect, you know, the color there. And now what I want to do now is actually model another small plug here. Not necessarily an electrical plug like we did for the last one, but you know, some sort of like, I don't even know what it's called. Like a plastic safety thing for people to not be able to, you know, get hurt or something. Okay, so this is the point where we are. And I would actually like to add just a little more realism to this. Oh, and actually, I just realized something. The scale on the axe, which probably is affected by the... Actually, did I unwrap this? I did not. Maybe that's why the aspect ratio was so strange. But also apparently the rotation is now strange, but that's, you know, no problem. Minus 90 here, and now we're good. And now aspect ratio probably to 1 should just, you know, be perfect. And what I change? Well, what I change is that this is not like this anymore. Okay. What I need is also to go a little bit more on the X. Probably super incremental 0.001. It's minus 0.00, maybe 0.01. Too much, really? Minus 0.005. Somewhere around there, maybe. Now they seem a little too big, don't they? And it's still not wait, let's combine XYZ and do this. Apparently I can. So I do this one, I do this one, and now it's basically the same value, I think, or somewhere around there. And now I can just play with its values to make them look more or less the same with all the others. So actually maybe X should be a little like this. Maybe even Y. Oh, these both affect the aspect. Yeah, no, actually, whatever I do, it will do the same thing. So forget what I said. This doesn't help. Probably I should just increase this, which doesn't let me. Then I will just scale. Maybe somewhere there. 1.2. No, 1.1. But it did seem to do something a little better, didn't it? Maybe it was just me. It's totally affecting the axe though, now. Which is kind of what I wanted. Actually, not kind of, it's exactly what I wanted. And I just need to fix this. So, 0.8. Okay, so it's actually 0.9, no, 0.87. What did I do? Oh, it's 0.087, sorry. I hate this. 0.0875? Not even a change. 0.09. Oh, okay. 0.095. Much. 0.093. Almost there. It's perfect. You know what? It's perfect for me. Okay, a lot of work for nothing. So, how can I actually, well, we actually get more out of our scene? Well, what we'll do is basically add a graffiti. So, graffiti PNG. Okay, so after getting the texture, all you gotta do is come in here, get the images as planes. Remember that super cool add-on we got back in the beginning of this channel? Well, it's making a comeback basically. Because here's the deal. We will learn about decals. Now, decals, in my opinion, are maybe the most interesting things in Blender because you basically can just put them over your geometry. They will look absolutely fantastic. And if you ask me, you can, I mean, texture paint, of course, but I'll be extremely honest with you. Decals are cooler. You can just play around with them afterwards way more. And at least this is my opinion, right? But they're just more useful. What you gotta do to use them really is just so have your images as planes there. Get a shrink wrap modifier, and actually, all you gotta do is select the target, which in my case is this wall. Select above surface and put it to like 3 millimeters. Now remember, we also have the displacement when we actually render, so you have to take that in consideration when we will actually get there. That's kind of the only benefit to texture paint. You don't have to think about that, but really decals are so much easier to put, so why not? So actually when we do render, this is how this will look, right? It will not look too good. So actually go to 5 millimeters and it's still not enough. 6 millimeters maybe. 10 millimeters, even though I don't really like that. I think that's kind of too much. Maybe let's make it a 9 millimeter. Anyway, doesn't really matter that much. So as you can see, that does actually fall right in there. It's extremely easy. And you cannot really debate the impact it has over your scene. Like really, it's such a cool, easy way to add detail to your scenes and really create a lot of cool stuff. So I'm going to add actually a few more of these, and afterwards come with basically the last part of this thing. Alright, so for the last part of the video actually, so now I'm extremely sure somehow my files were corrupted. I did find a video where I explained the animation of the light, but apparently it would not open anymore. So I have to redo that part. So let me show you how to actually animate our scene, which is not that complicated because we animate only the light, right? And this is actually super useful because you will learn how to animate materials in general, which is very important because that can actually do way more than you can think of. So let's actually go into material mode, into the shading tab, and if we press on our neon sign here, you will actually already see the nodes we're using. This is it. This is literally all we need to use. But you know what? I'm going to delete this and actually start a new material and show you everything from the get-go just for you to understand how we're doing this, right? You already know the gradient, right? So you already know the gradient and the stuff there. Just let me do that real quick. So we have the gradient. Let's get a color ramp right here and connect it to the base color just to see how this would look. We set this to constant, of course, and we will need it to be half and just play around. So get the Y to 90 to 90 degrees and then play around with the colors so that it actually fits our scene. So this is pretty cool. Okay, after we've done this, which you already should have by now, what we need to do is actually get one more node in there, because here's the deal. I did show you how to put the color. Like, you would put usually the white color as the color you would want and just set it into the emission node, and that's how we get our emission. But there's one problem we did. Even though we basically theoretically should have been able to animate this, it doesn't actually let us for some reason. So what I did decide to do is get a mix color node, right? And a mix color node, as I did explain it before in the beginner videos, and I do recommend you guys go check it out if you want to see it. I do explain it in much more detail, but the way this works usually is the factorial tells A and B how much of each of them should work and where, right? When you say factorial like this, it's just how much of it should affect the, the scene. So basically 0 means all of it is A, 1 means all of the mix goes to, will get you the value B, right? However, if you do put the color ramp into the factorial, you basically give this exact coloring, right? This exact map to the mix color node. So basically the result will actually, think of it this way. B will be the black color, so what you get here, and A will actually be the white color. So to demonstrate this, let's set this into the base color, set B to black, and apparently I was wrong. B is to, because it's from the left, right? B is going to be the white color in the previous case. So in this case, right? B is gonna be the white color and A is gonna be the black color. So basically you will need to put A as black. So basically you tell A, B just where, the color ramp's black color is. So again, this works like a map and A and B have to follow the map. But A can only follow the black color while B can follow only the white color, right? B can never get its color into the black area. It just can't. All right, so having this, now you can actually just play around. So let's make this cyan again. And instead of, putting it into the base color, because we don't want that, you actually put it into the emission, set the emission to whatever strength you want, and we have our neon sign back. Now, to actually animate a material, what you need to do is actually, let's get a timeline here. So change this to timeline. And what you gotta do, and this is actually pretty tricky, and I got it after some time because it's not really that well explained in any tutorial I found. There are very few tutorials that actually do explain this. So pay attention to this one. To get a color to animate, right? You can, yes, do it also from the color here, but only if you have like the base color, because if you look at this emission, when you go to color, it's just a mix node. So you actually have to animate it from the inside of the shader editor. And to do that, you go over the color with your mouse and then press right click and then insert keyframe. And now on frame number 1, we have a keyframe, but we actually can't see any keyframe and we do have the object selected. So here's the catch, because again, this is actually tricky and it took me a lot of time to actually find this out. What you gotta do is actually also click on the node that you're animating, because otherwise your timeline will not actually show you your keyframes, so you will not be able to actually play around with them, right? So get your keyframes like this, right? So let's say at frame, I don't know, 40 or something. Let's change the color from cyan to red, right? And that is actually pretty cool. And of course, we need to insert this as well. And now we can actually see the passing from one color to the other. But we can actually do something a little even cooler than that. So actually, let me just do this a few more times. We'll take this and make it yellow. I also should have inserted the keyframe. All right. What's going on? Okay. All right. And then one more time, and this is gonna be also the last time. Let's go to like a purple-ish color, like this. All right. So we have a few colors to play around with. Now, what else can we do? And I do advise this, especially when you animate light, because it's going to make it look a little cooler. Go to layout, and let's actually go into material mode as well. And what you want to play around with, right? And let's actually get the timeline as well here. Like this. And you want to play around with the strength of the light, because yes, the strength is also going to affect the light a lot. So right now it's set to 20, right? Let's actually set it at frame number 1 to 0. So press on this dot right here in the right of our strength. I don't know, side line, side something. You get it, right? Just press on the dot and you will insert a keyframe for the strength, and then go to, let's say, frame, I don't know, 5. Make it 20. Insert a keyframe and go to frame 10. Make it 0. Insert a keyframe, and so on and so forth. But again, you can actually see this. And the reason you can't see it, go back to the shading tab and press on the principled BSDF node, and actually now you can see it. And the reason, again, it's because you had it selected on the mix color, and again, you cannot see your keyframes unless you actually have the selected node that contains those keyframes, which does make sense, because again, for example, controlling the strength, you cannot do that from the mix color. You can only do it from the principled BSDF. So, you know, you have to be here. And you can have this, you know, maybe duplicate it once, kind of here. And now, actually, you know what? Let's actually get this way closer to each other. And no, not like that. Like this. And let's take this, Shift D, and, you know, duplicate them one more time. And I want them to have, like, you know, a higher passing from one point to the other. So basically, what your node will do, what your neon sign will do, is flicker a little bit. So that's a way to create flicker. And, you know, choose how you want to do it on your scene. But there's actually one more way to create that. I didn't actually show that in the original video I created for this, but I'm going to show it to you now. So you have this, which, yes, it's cool. And I mean, it's the way I did it because you have the most control over it, basically. But there's actually one more way to do this. Right, so that way is you actually have to switch from timeline. So from timeline, you go to graph editor, and to do that, you will need to actually come down here. So you actually will have, you'll see this in the beginning. Select the down arrow to the material, then the down arrow for the shader node tree, and then select the default value. And then you will again be at the F curve, which you're not really that interested in, at least right now. And then go to modifiers, and actually you can select a modifier to put on this animation, because yes, these curves represent your animation. Let me just make it a little more clear when we work with it, right? So like this. So one cool thing about a graph editor, you can actually smooth out the animation just like this. So this is making it a little more constant, and we don't actually want that. We want it to be something like this. I do want them to flicker a little more often towards the beginning, and then a little less often towards the end, right? So that will actually make a little more sense. And actually, when we will look at the animation, well, bringing it also at the first point, you can actually see there is a small difference compared to what we did the first time. So that's cool and all, but the other method I was talking about, it's actually by having the node selected and by having this part selected, you can put in a noise texture. Well, not a noise texture really, it's more like a noise over your curve, but it does work a little bit like a noise texture. And the scale basically will tell it how noisy for this to be. You can tell it the strength. And again, this will affect all of it. So you should really think about it when you do it. And it's going to affect it. But again, it is a cool thing. And you can actually make it, have a frame range. So if you actually apply this, you can tell it from this frame to this frame. Just there you can apply the noise. So actually let's do this. All right, let's start at frame 1 and we can end at frame 21, and you can then just play around with the value. So I can do it like this, like super bad, right? And let's see how this will look. So it's gonna flicker like crazy, but that's a cool way of doing it. It's not, you still have a lot of control over it, don't get me wrong, but it's not like that manual control you would get. So it just depends on the kind of way you want to go. It's a very good way to work like this. And I do usually work with Graph Editor in my animations. I didn't show it before because I think it's a little more complex, and we're gonna get there in like probably a next tutorial. But for now, at least, I just wanted to give you this, right? And this is the way you actually animate a shader, right? Like a material, any kind of material. So let me actually go back to the neon sign and show you the timeline for our sign right here. And that's kind of the values I use if you want to copy. This is for the color. So at every like 20 frames, I'm changing the color. Okay, and actually, wait, do I stop at frame 160? Really? Oh yeah, because I wanted to have it. Yeah, okay, makes sense. All right, and I also play with the strength of it, kind of like this. Very often in the beginning, and then I almost don't do it at all, and then just let it, run its core. So that is kind of how you animate your materials and how you animate the lights, because actually that's the topic of this exact tutorial. And again, I do think it's a very important tool and a very powerful tool because you can create a lot of cool stuff with it. Yeah, let's actually now get to the compositing part. Alright, so as the last part of the actual video, so again, this is where we are. We will actually composite a little bit. Now, we will not do anything too crazy about this because there's not really a reason to, but we will play a little bit around. So the first thing I would like to do is actually add lens distortion, right? So adding the lens distortion right here. Actually, let me, grab this, get it the image editor and render our result. Let me see how this looks. This looks pretty cool. All right, and let me actually make this a little bigger because I would need to see it. All right, and the first thing I want to do is dispersion. If you don't remember what dispersion does, it's this effect, which this is not good. It's way too much, but a 0.02 usually helps. It's not doing too much, and actually you can, make it a little bigger. But again, you have to be careful with this one because it's a pretty aggressive, in my opinion, effect. All right, so you can see it's blurring the edges, and it's actually, giving a little bit of a bleed edge. So take care when you actually use this one. Actually, I think this is looking, pretty good. Thing is, we did not know how the animation will be affected. So again, 0.02 is kind of there. You can actually use it and not, get too affected by it. Now, distortion distorts your whole image. I don't really use it that much because I don't really like the effect it gives. Another thing we can have is actually glare. All right, so glare, especially if you have lights, which we do, which do have a lot of them, you can actually use to give a cool effect to your scene. Which, oh, I like this one so much. But again, you should, in my opinion at least, use it subtle. So don't go, you know, out of your way. Like, oh, I'm going to, you know, kick it up a notch and make it super extreme. I don't think that's a good idea either. It's, you know, a good idea would be to just find the perfect in between, right? Like to have it more or less, I don't know, like not that noticeable, I would say. Which is why, in my opinion, the fog glow is the best. It's subtle. It's just it's there, but you know it's not, you know, too aggressive with your scene. It's doing more or less what it should do, which, you know, is okay. I'm gonna be here and I'm gonna do a little bit of bleeding edge, which looks actually pretty good. So we'll keep that. Another thing we can do, you know, if you want, I mean, we are already using blur, so I wouldn't really find a reason to use it one more time. But what we could use is some color correction. All right, so let me see what it is. Color correction right here. I do use it a lot, honestly. I know that a lot of people don't really like it that much because, you know, it's kind of an imposing node when you look at it this way. But honestly, the way I'm looking at it is I'm just playing around with the values I do understand, which is kind of the contrast. I mean, not of the highlights necessarily. It's mostly if you do the master, it's you're going to immediately see the difference. And you know, just play around with the values, see what fits you, see what you know, doesn't fit you too much. So if I do this, for example, way too much. But if I do like a 1.5, you know, a little better. I mean, a little much better because you won't notice it that bad. And I do think that's actually a very important idea. All right, don't overdo it. I don't know how many times I did say it. I don't know how many times I have to say it, but I think it's pretty important. Do not go, you know, out of your way. Don't get crazy with it. So gamma to 1, I think it still looks good. I would actually get saturation a little down. So let me see. Saturation to 1 looks like this. Saturation to 1.5. No, actually saturation to 1.5. I like the vibe of it because I want to give more notice to the light. So that's a thing that, you know, focus from your camera and the lighting itself helps a lot with. Which is the same reason I did put the spotlight in the back there, so that you can actually also look at the background and be like, okay, yeah, I noticed that. But the information that you're looking at is still this one. All right, so this is the main point where, you know, your eyes will be attracted. You can also always put like a curve, RGB curve, and actually play around with this, you know, to set your tone as much as you want. Of course, you know, you have to play around with it. In my opinion, very subtle. But I honestly don't like this. I like more the control of the numbers because I actually can play around with it a little better. At least for me, you know. I know a lot of people do actually like to have like a visual over what they're doing, so that's cool. But yeah, basically this is kind of whole you know, big compositing I will do. It's not gonna be a great compositing because there's no reason to do that. And actually, with this being done right here, let's actually go to, you know, the frames. Let's go to render this, and to be able to render this, I'll actually get my frames to 30 frames. And me having 250 frames, You know, that's not gonna be necessarily, it's not even 10 seconds. It's actually gonna be way less. So it's gonna be like 7.5 seconds or somewhere in between. I think it's like it's more or less 7.5. So 7 would be here, 7 seconds it's here, and then we would have you know, actually no, wait, what I'm saying, it's 8. So it's 8 point you know, 8 point like 1 second, something like that. A little weird, you know, you can always grab it and go to like 240 to actually be 8 seconds on timer, but I mean, who cares really? It's gonna be there. Okay, so with this being done like this, let us actually get this into the folder that we actually want. This time we actually will use RGB, not RGBA. Again, remember, RGBA is if you actually have alpha, so if you actually have a transparent background. If you don't, it doesn't matter, because you know, you need it to just read the red, green, and blue. If you don't have a transparent background, you don't really care if they do or not read alpha. And actually, I think it takes up a little more information and a little more space if you do actually get it that way. I'm not sure about this, but at least that's the way I'm thinking about it. All right, so with this being done, all we gotta do is actually hit the render button. By the way, one more trick. When you actually are doing the compositing, to actually see it in real time while you do stuff, right? So if you have Blender, I think it was 4.0, I don't think Blender 3.6 has this. I might be wrong about this one because I don't exactly remember. Blender 4.0 for sure has it. You have to go, you know, when you are in the render here, you can actually go to your render path and, no, not to the render path, sorry, to the compositor here. So as you can see, it is by default set to disabled, but you can actually put it either to always, either to camera. So basically, while you're out of it, it doesn't show anything, but when you look at it from the camera, you can actually see how you know, your compositing will look, and that's a pretty good way for you to realize how your lights will actually look. It's a pretty cool way of you seeing you know, what the animation basically sees before. So you kind of make an idea, an overall idea over how you should have this. All right, so that's a trick for you guys. So now actually we'll go to the outro. Okay guys, so this is gonna actually be the end of the video. So actually there's gonna be one more part, which is also the last part. Is the part where we will learn how to animate light and all the other things that I actually talked about in the beginning, because I didn't realize how long this will actually get, and I don't want, you know, to have like 2-hour-long videos. So I'm going to end this one right here. So I hope it was useful. At least you know, the part where putting the rain and the dust, I think is the most important part that you have to get out of this, because the rest of it we kind of done before. Even though a very important part that I think you really should understand is how to get the materials, and also how to kind of fake details, you know, just to get it, right? So all this world now, you know, is just a plane, nothing too crazy, and you can always do that, okay, to just save space, to just help yourself out. Okay, so with this being said, thank you so much for watching the video, thank you so much for actually sticking around, and please do not forget the procedural tool is in the description right to this video. You can always go and get it. It's available till March 11th, so there's still time for you to get it. There's still 5 days to get it, and I most probably will do it one more time. After that, I will try to put it back on for you guys to be able to get it. Probably a different link to it though, but you get a point. You will be able to get it, and that's the important part. And I hope you will enjoy it. Also, I hope you did enjoy this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed the series and everything that's coming on the channel right now. If you have any suggestions and actually anything you guys would like in particular to see and to do on this channel, please let me know. Leave it in the comments, and I will try to make it happen. So again, thank you so much. Please leave a like on the video and please subscribe to the channel for more content and to help, the channel out to grow. And I wish you guys a happy Thursday, a happy end of the week, and hopefully the weekend is gonna be amazing for every single one of you, because you guys deserve it. So thank you and bye.